You are about to watch the incredible true story of the American Revolution, the war that birthed the United States of America and signaled the end of the end for the British Empire's absolute control over the New World. Spring 1775. The months of petitions and political protests in Massachusetts are over. Now in the shadows, the colonies are preparing for a fight. Across the countryside, ordinary farmers form a secret network. They call themselves Minutemen, civilians trained to fight at a moment's notice. They spend their nights quietly hoarding gunpowder, ammunition, and military-grade firepower. By arming tens of thousands of common laborers, the colonies create a rapid response militia. The countryside is now a loaded weapon aimed directly at British authority. Inside Boston, British commanders watch the countryside closely. They know the militias are gathering strength right outside their gates. To neutralize the threat, the British military drafts a proactive strategy. Under the cover of darkness, troops will march out to the town of Concord and seize the colonial weapons cache before the militias can mobilize. The trap is set. A collision between the most powerful empire on Earth and a hidden resistance is now only hours away. On the night of April 18th, British soldiers begin moving silently out of Boston, but colonial spies are watching their every step. Within minutes, colonial riders are racing through the darkness. Men like Paul Revere ride from town to town, spreading a single, desperate warning: the British are coming. Long before the sun rises, this high-speed intelligence network alerts the entire region. The British military's primary advantage, the element of surprise, is entirely destroyed. At dawn, the British column reaches the small town of Lexington. Waiting for them on the village green is a group of local militia. A few dozen farmers now stand face to face with a highly disciplined professional army. The British commander orders the armed colonists to lay down their weapons and disperse. For a moment, nobody moves. The battlefield falls completely silent. Then, a single shot rings out through the morning mist. Chaos erupts. The British soldiers open fire into the smoke, leaving 8 Americans dead. No one will ever know who pulled that first trigger, but with that flash of gunpowder, any hope for a peaceful resolution vanishes. The British press forward to their target in Concord, only to find empty storehouses. The Colonial intelligence network had already moved the military supplies. Tensions boil over at the town's North Bridge. Here, for the first time, colonial militia level their muskets and openly fire upon the king's troops. The British commander orders a retreat back to Boston. It becomes a miles-long nightmare. The awakened countryside swarms the road. Farmers step out from behind trees and stone walls, fire into the British column, and disappear into the woods. The most formidable military force on the planet had been bled dry by a phantom enemy. This retreat proved that the king's regulars could be defeated, not by meeting them in the open, but by turning the terrain itself into a weapon. By the time the exhausted British soldiers stagger back into the safety of Boston, hundreds of their men are dead or wounded. The colonists have crossed a boundary they can never uncross. They have spilled the blood of the king's troops, an act the British Empire will neither forget nor forgive. The long political debate over taxation and rights is dead. The physical reality of war has officially begun. In the days that follow, thousands of armed colonists will gather to lay siege to Boston, waiting for an ambitious new commander to take control of the rebellion. To be continued in Episode 4, George Washington Takes Command. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to History Stories Dose so you never miss the next chapter of history.